Hello Linux gamers, welcome back to another video. Today I have some exciting news to share with you that for those who are interested in sim racing, you can now get pidff drivers directly in the Linux kernel. So our team member or one of the developer in the sim racing on Linux community have upstreamed the Linux drivers, so it should be available on 6.14 and 6.12 also, as they have backported it. So we have this universal universal pidff driver, which will now support Cammus, Moza, and many other devices. You can see it from here. Linux wheels. So this was the main developer, Jacketus, who had worked on Universal PIDFF, and later we were able to add other wheels like recently Camus and Moza was added, but he have a very good database on which wheels work now. So if we look at Universal PIDFF, then we should get Camus C5 and C12 for support and Moza device support on this kernel driver, and this driver has been successfully upstreamed thanks to the core developer Thomas, and it has been merged in the latest kernel package. So tonight I am going to try to remove my out of tree driver, which should be this one. So let's see now. Let me look at the driver name. It was here, yes. So this is the driver. Universal PIDFF PKMS. It not there, so I think it should be. I don't. I think I compiled it manually. So let's see where it is pushing. This has been backported and upstream to 6.14, 6.13, and 6.12. So once I get the latest version, I should have it. So let's look at my driver now. So I can just use. So I have 6.13. So if I get 0.12, 6.13.12, I should have it. As I'm using Manjaro Linux, I can find out packages. Where are they? So I go to packages and type C Linux 613. So in 613 we have here in the testing branch, so I will pull it in manually. I have the package now. Till then, let me find out how I can remove. Okay, if we go follow this. Okay, yeah, right. I am using the custom kernel. That is why I have it installed in my kernel package. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the custom kernel by uninstalling linux dash upstream package and installing 13.12. So I think they have pushed it to 13.12. Yes, so I have it now. So I have the 13.12 kernel package. Now that I have 12, I will remove. I will just make sure that I update the grub so I have the correct kernel. Now I will just reboot and and we should have the latest kernel Linux 6.13.12, and with that we should have the inside tree pidff driver for our Cammus C5 wheel. I have moved to C5 wheel from C12 as it has stopped working and it was having some problem. So C5 it is. Let's see that I can get C5 to work on the upstream original upstream Manjaro Repo Linux kernel package. It is starting the operating system. This is Manjaro with Plymouth on EFI. Why? So here we are back again. Let's see. Uname. So this is latest version. Now I will turn on the Cammus C12 wheel. You can see it is rotating now. I can start EV test and I hope I will have something from Cammus. And there we have it. So we have the kernel driver in the upstream kernel already for Cammus wheels and many other wheels. If you want, we can look at the we can look at the patch. So this is the patch and we can just go through it quickly. So we have this patch and it says it have so basically it adds some quarks. So it is adding Camus C5 C12 FF Beast then Moza R3, R5, R9, R12, R16, then VRS. So these three brands have been added so far. So with that said, let I would like to show some other things like, for example, we have a website called simracing on linux.com. It is just the link tree, so we can just go to the connections. Like, we have a chat where we discuss most of the development, which is matrix, but we also have discord. If you are on discord, you can join us on discord. I also have created reddit, where we can have public discussion. And then we have some links, where the first one we have is the database, which is again uh, the database for sim racing devices support. And then we have some telemetry data, where we have monocoque, which have led rumble motors, base shakers, and wind support. Then sim monitor. Tonight I will just launch everything one by one to show you how it all works together. I needed to reconnect my sim ruito load cell pedals. Let's test if the pedals are giving the right output. Okay, that is looking good. Let's look at my sim racing setup. Here I have DIY rumble motors on these load cell pedals. You can see on my pedal cam. Then I have Cammus C5 steering wheel. Behind the wheel you can see a 10-inch dashboard which have LEDs, which I use for RPM flag and car proximity. I also have base shakers on this rig, this rig is next level FGT Lite, and all the setup is I'm using this whole setup on Linux, so that's something incredible that we have good telemetry support for sim racers trying to move to Linux operating system. Now let me show you what all I do to launch the telemetry tools. It is a multiple layers of tools, so it can be called as a sim racing on Linux telemetry stack. First, I have the ACSHM, which act as a bridge between Proton layer and Linux user space. Let me grab the online server link where I have to practice tonight. Then I need the shared memory bridge, which will copy the data from the shared memory of Proton and create it in Linux user space. Then I have monocoque tool, which reads the sim data and output it to devices like rumble motors, base shakers, sim wind fans, and dashboard LEDs or wheel LEDs. Then lastly, I have sim monitor, which can store telemetry data for future analysis, as well as it can show the data in real time on frame buffer or on web. I'm using web version to display it on my 10-inch dashboard. Let me check if the database is online. Yes, it looks online. So Here you can see my old lab data. So I will launch it on web and also put it on monitor mode, which will record my telemetry session for tonight. Once all is set, I will launch the game, but there is something more. Crew Chief is also working on Linux setup, so I will launch Crew Chief and select run exe and select the ACS file which is needed for Assetto Corsa. Radio check. Once I have the telemetry stack ready, I will open the content manager and just test my controls settings and configuration and see that everything is fine, as I have just recently changed my setup. So it is looking fine. Let's launch the race. I will paste the link of the online race server where I practice and also participate in weekly race. It is called Real Rookie Racing and they are very supportive of Linux users. So with that said, let's go for a ride. So here you can see I have dashboard, okay, and you can see the telemetry on the dashboard as well as on here. I can feel the rumble motors on the pedals as well as base shaker on the rig. So I will go for a short drive so you can see how well it runs all on Linux. I will be doing live stream tomorrow, so on this track with other drivers. So that is my lap. I was able to do 1 minute 26 seconds, 23 seconds in previous practice sessions. So I should be able to do 1 minute 23 seconds again. But that's it for tonight's practice. And for those who are new to my videos, please do subscribe to my channel, as your subscription keeps me motivated to make such content. And I will be bringing in more sim racing on Linux related videos in the coming days. So do subscribe to my channel. With that said, I think that's it for tonight. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.